Welcome back to part 2 of episode 20 of 4D, Dev's Daily Dose of Dota. I'm your host, Michael Deficus Plumley, and I have a feeling that I think I can share with first departure miracles in this game. Have you ever had a bad start? You're playing a carry, or you're playing mid, and you have like a really bad start. Like a Zephyr Gaming bad start. Seriously though, I like those guys. But right now, Naga Siren is in the middle of a 1-in-5 start, died 5 times. Most of the gold going to an IO Tiny combo. Tiny was able to get his ult stick at the 12-minute mark. And Naga has her work cut out for her. But, as I mentioned in the first part of this episode of 4D, Naga, a completely different hero before and after Radiance. One of the most core items on any hero, and it seems to persist through the patches. I don't see the itemization changing much on Naga for the foreseeable future, especially when she has one of the longest duration illusion abilities in the game. Whereas Phantom Lancer's illusions are only up for 8 seconds or so, 4 seconds if they're created from other illusions. Naga has her illusions up for 30 seconds. And while another hero like Terrorblade has a 35-second illusion, or Chaos Knight has 35-second illusions, Naga gets to create 3 illusions every minute. Pretty good. And pretty good if you have Radiance. We're going to hop back into the game, and I hope that Radiance comes soon, because at a score of 17-9, this could quickly go the way of Team Malaysia. Let's hop back into the game. When we left off, Magnus was about to die, requiring a 3-person rotation, but hey, they'll take any kills they can. They're looking to stem the bleeding from an early 10,000 gold deficit. A tier 1 and a tier 2 bottom being claimed, but that's okay. Space created for the Naga. 2,200 gold now. Enigma has gotten the hell out of the jungle. He knows his buddy Miracle needs to farm, at least dropping a... what's that called? Midnight Pulse? Yeah. Now doing pure damage. Midnight Pulse. To clear out some trees. And the illusion's coming back online again. He's level 9. Ring of Aquila giving a little bit extra damage. Though the jungle has been partially invaded by the Tiny, who is close to double the HP of Naga Siren. And although the illusions only take 200% incoming damage, they quickly disintegrate under the might of the Mushi Tiny Aghanim Scepter.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
We see a rotation coming into the mid. They're pursuing Enigma. Naga Siren coming in. And will be here to secure a kill on Tiny. He's already up to 3,200 gold, getting very close to that relic. And chooses to open up the illusions, place them mid to push out the mid lane, meanwhile rotating to the bottom to grab a haste rune. And on the heels of 3 heroes dying for Team Malaysia, Naga Siren for the first time gets to farm in the enemy jungle. One of the safest places to farm, and most efficient, especially with all the warding that has been going on in their own jungle. Naga Siren still using that bottle to great effect. I believe 70 mana restored is basically a mirror image every minute. And on 40-second cooldown it works out very nicely. Getting a lot of value. 3 charges could mean 3 uses of mirror images. And just rinse and repeat, we see the illusions used again on mid lane. That Riptide coming in, disintegrating the wave. And Miracle saying, hey, Enigma, get the hell out. What are you doing, man? I'm at 3,700 gold. I am desperately close to my sacred relic. I don't want to be dying now, I want to be farming. So he'll go back to base. He's low on mana. And his jungle is farmed out. Topping himself back off. letting that mirror image come back off of cooldown. And using Riptide to just farm up that last 100 gold for his Sacred Relic. Luckily, they have not conceded a Rax yet, so the lane creeps will still be giving the full amount of gold. And what's this on the courier? Sacred Relic. 60 damage coming his way. Basically increasing his damage by 80% or so, including the Naga illusions, though they have significantly reduced amounts. Naga rotating to mid. All four heroes, first departure, running together there. They looked like a International 4 promo shot there. And we see him just using the Quelling Blade to get into the jungle here. Get into the trees, stay hidden. Centaur, he's big. He'll just hide behind one tree or two. And we see them opening up.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Chain Frost coming out. And Song of the Siren coming out as well. Where is Enigma? He would love to get this black hole off. Will we see another two-man? We do see another two-man. They go on to Mushi, are able to secure a kill. And an Ice Path will help freeze the IO in place. No sense in relocating away for this. He will just have to take the death with grace. But what's that? 900 gold for Naga Siren.
Dire's top tower is under
A
attack.
very successful fight for him. 450 in that. And instantly moving into the lane. A mid lane that he did have to abandon early on, but he's already
Radiant's
pushing
middle
back up.
tower is under attack.
I would like to note that
Radiant structures
illusions do reduce damage here. So 35% of 160 is 30 or 40, but then you have to keep in mind that the tower reduces the damage even further. So if you've ever wondered why illusions don't do a lot of damage to tower, it seems like they don't. It's because they don't. These illusions here only dealing 6 damage to the tower, but
Unfortified.
at under 100 HP, it should still fall. If not to that, to the melee creeps. Will we see a denial? He will deny.
Radiant's middle
But that's okay
tower
for
has
Naga.
been denied.
He's back in the jungle farming, thinking about his next item. It's the Radiance recipe. And I believe that's coming on the courier right now. Here it is at the 21-minute mark. Pretty good timing. And now, we're going to take a quick look at the gold per minute farm. 400 for Miracle. His last hitting, third on the chart right now. He has a little over 100 last hits, but that's all about to change. With Radiance on deck, and illusions that carry Radiance for 30 seconds. It's an entirely different game. We see him instantly sending them to the camps, and something worth noting that I think it's lost in the illusion information, if we can go back to the combat log. I did just speak about how illusions do reduced damage. They do 35% damage in this particular case, so instead of hitting for 156, they would hit for 35% of that. But with Radiance, what percentage of 50 damage did they do? You might be able to see it on screen already. They deal 100% damage. 50 damage. The Radiance is actually more damage than they do for right clicks. So not only do you have 3 illusions instead of 1 or 2 that a lot of other hero abilities have, but you have them up for 30 seconds and you have a Radiance being able to deal full damage. So we should see his farm increase substantially. As he runs back to base, might Riptide one more time to help kill off these big creeps like the centaurs. And we see him top himself off and instantly run back into the fray. He's anxious to get back into the farming, but Team Malaysia attempting to turn the screws, apply more pressure to this tier 2 mid.
Dire's top tower has
Tiny,
fallen.
meanwhile, did I mention there's a Tiny and a Medusa? IO Tiny split pushing simultaneously. Team Malaysia may capture the remaining two tier 2s.
Dire's top tower
But with
is
Radiance
under attack.
online, these creeps being dealt significant damage. Naga Siren should look to get probably Boots of Travel as her next item. We can switch to this. Yep, Boots of Travel being that
Radiant's
next item.
bottom tower is under
And I just
attack.
want to watch her farming here. We see her drag the creeps away. And we see her run away here. Something I don't think a lot of people do. We see him right-click down the creeps and last hit every one, but if we switch to the free camera, you can note that these creeps have very low damage, or low HP rather. And as she walks away, she's still going to be doing 50 damage per second in this very large radius. As we switch to free camera back, we can see that radius damage, radius
Dire's middle
for
tower
Radiance
is
is about
under
like
attack.
this. So that's several seconds that you can walk away while still dealing damage. Just a little tip that will make you a little faster at farming
Radiant's
and increase your
bottom
gold
tower is
per
under
minute
attack.
just a little bit.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
And we see him now simultaneously pulling into this bottom lane. Radiance, with the assistance of Riptide, killing off a creep wave. We see him also simultaneously assaulting the tier 1 bottom and also chopping this lane in mid. Creeps that are desperately needed to continue a push by Team Malaysia. So Miracle able to have his way here. He has substantial ground to make up the tiny Medusa combo. Very far ahead. We see a little cheeky move here. Turning off Radiance in case someone were to come by, then turning it back on, make sure his illusions get it. And deport back to base. Now that he has 1900 gold, he is very close to the Boots of Travel. But he's also been in enemy territory, and he might have suspected someone was onto him. Lion is able to dispel one of the illusions, but can't get them all. Mana drain, not enough cooldown to kill 3 illusions, and he's still able to complete his farm. And at the 23-minute now mark, Naga Siren picks up his second item, the Boots of Travel. This will further increase both his gold per minute farm, but also his ability to push out these lanes, be deep behind enemy lines, and still get back to assist his team in team fights. And he will definitely be needed. The right-clicking of Medusa carry will get very strong with a split shot. And Tiny already very strong. Though we see him Yule Sceptered. Miracle coming in to support, but he is caught by a reverse polarity. But another beautiful black hole from Enigma. Both heroes low. And it will be a 3 for 3 in mid. Enigma may fall as well. He's going to want to get the hell out of there. He will, with the assistance of a Chikiro, Force Staff. Or will he? So he's able to Soul Ring, bring himself down to that, and then use the Eidolons. I was wondering if he was going to deny himself to this creep, but it ends up being a 4 for 3. Quite a substantial fight. Mushi on this Tiny is just really doing work.
Double damage.
Heads and tails above anyone else on the team for damage. Even the Medusa with her splish shot. Much further ahead of anyone damage-wise on first departure. But they're beginning to stem the tide. You see the net worth, which it was up at 10,000, starting to dissipate. And Naga now has the Radiance. She can get her real work done. Coming into lane, using Riptide, bringing up the illusions, sending one down to here, and the other up into the jungle, where she can farm. Using Riptide as soon as it's off of cooldown to help simultaneously push out that lane, as well as jungle. And now we see her rotate into the top to pick up this lane of Brax. Or this lane of creeps, rather. We see she is quickly catching up and is about to pass. Now is passing Mushi on last hits. And we're actually just going to switch over to the player perspective just to see the micro possible here. Or, as many could call it, macro, as Naga Siren is just frantically farming up at this point. Sending them into multiple lanes, sending them through the creep camps,
Radiant's top tower
even
is
sending
under
them
attack.
down into the opponent's jungle. Making this one push all the way past the tower. A little cheeky abuse here. Not that I'd really call it abuse, but just getting some extra work out of the illusions.
Radiant structures are fortified.
As I noted
Radiant's
earlier,
top
this
tower
illusion
is
would
under
not do much damage to the tower, only 7-8 damage. Radiance will not deal damage either, but you can have it run past the tower, pick up this lane of creeps, and let the melee creeps continue to do damage. We see a BKB coming out on Enigma. And Miracle has picked up the Asha, making himself hit a little harder, but also those illusions that stay up for 30 seconds, traveling 10% faster now. On top of the 100 move speed from Boot to Travel, you can get a lot of mobility out of those illusions. And we see her running, wondering if she should pursue into this fight. Yule's Scepter, into an Ice Path, into a Centaur Stomp. Hoof Stomp as it's called. But an immediate disengage. Space created though. Miracle being very brazen, pushing into the jungle. As you notice, the fight broke out around him. But even if they do lose the fight, even if they do push back to the tier 3, what's this? The Naga illusion is cutting the creep wave, along with stealing the jungle farm. And it's a good idea, since IO Tiny have made her jungle not a safe place to farm. We're going to switch back to the player perspective. As we see her break for a moment, Mirror Image comes back off of cooldown. He splits one into the bottom lane, one to the top lane, and holds one back to put in the mid lane. So simultaneously, all 3 lane creeps will not be able to push out much further. And the creep equilibrium, as you may say, or as casters say, comes a little more in favor of First Departure. They need it now. They definitely could use some space on the map to farm. All their tier 2 towers have fallen. And Miracle, now working on that Manta style, might as well, in for the penny, in for the pound.
Radiant's
Illusions
middle
up
tower
again,
is under attack.
pushing them in to the mid lane, pushing them into the bottom lane. To great success. Making what should have been a large amount of aggression, perhaps the first tier 3 high ground breach of the game, not possible. With these cheeky illusions, just cutting the creep wave. And we see him might be hunted out here. We even see him turning off Radiance. Doesn't want to tip off Tiny and IO that he may be here. And I love the Magnus here. We're actually going to rewind that. Magnus porting back to base. We have it switched over to his vision now. He's wondering, where is he? Where is he? Is he in this creep camp? Nope, don't see anybody. Oh, that cheeky Miracle. So instead he has enough time to create another set of illusions, then port back to base. Getting very close to that Manta style. And also close to our 2 net worth for the side of Team Malaysia. It's the 30-second mark, and once again, the creep waves instantly cut down by a Riptide and Radiance, and he's just kiting them away. Though a mana drain will prevent that in the bottom. This time Miracle choosing to farm up the last bit of gold. He needs 100 more.
Dire's bottom
He's there.
tower is under attack.
Farming up the last camp. Some wards going down as well. Lich here to assist. And more illusions being popped out. We see 2 of them sent into the mid lane. Another sent up into the top lane to farm. And although a Heart of Tarask is online for
Radiant's
Mushi,
top tower is under attack.
we now see what should be a Manta style for Naga Siren.
Radiant's
Up
top
to
tower has
3,700
fallen.
gold. Mushi having to come into lane to kill illusions. Ugh, I hate that.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And Jakiro actually taking a moment to get a liquid fire on a tower. Haven't seen that a lot this game. Jakiro, 3 and 4, 9 assist. Hasn't needed to be pushing out the lanes though. Naga Siren with these Radiance illusions just doing work. And we see about a 30-minute Manta style, 31-minute. And it's worth noting that gold per minute farm that was in the 400 range now increased about 25%. All because of one item on Naga Siren. And although the tier 2s had been taken, even a very aggressive ward here from Team Malaysia, they've not been able to capitalize. This constant pushing out, even chasing away the Medusa. I have Scotty now on her. Just disrupting the potential Blink Dagger into Hex for that Lion. And we see extensive damage being dealt. Our first tier 3 high ground breach. And I love how he moved outward here. You'll see that he engaged on the high ground, but with the ridiculous range of Song of Siren, he's able to catch this IO who was lying in wait. You can expect IO Tiny to be together to try and disengage with a relocate to save Mushi, but not today. Naga brazenly pushing up to the high ground. And now his heroes are in support. 3,000 HP with AC and Heart of Tarask. But not much can be done against 3 heroes. Chain Frost even being committed there. And although the
Dire's
relocate
bottom tower is under attack.
looked like it was attempted, we actually are going to rewind that. That might have been the most beautiful ensnare I've seen in a while. Relocate being attempted any second now to try and save Mushi. He's charging it up. It looks like Mushi actually died there. Nonetheless, the ensnare still keeping him in place. Centaur 4 staffing away. And we have a very impressive 2-for-0 saving the top lane. But will they be able to defend against this split push in the bottom lane? 2 ultimates already having to be committed. A
Dire's
rare
structures
frost
are
armor,
fortified.
or ice armor coming up on the tower. Hoping to save that, but with the siege creep, I think we may see that fall. And it does fall.
Dire's
Enigma
bottom tower
does have
has
that
fallen.
BKB. Black hole online. Lich has a 4-staff as well. That's really going to help the mobility with a 4-staff on Lich, 4-staff on Centaur. And I think there's one more 4-staff. Just 2 at the moment. Oh, there it is. One on Jakiro as well. But Naga Siren just returns to farming. Illusions, farming camps, farming the top lane, as well as running away to farm the mid lane. 30-second duration means they really can rotate towards a completely
Dire's
opposite
middle
lane.
tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is
And with
under
Radiance
attack.
now online, they can deal significant damage, enough to kill creep waves, enough to easily farm up creep camps. We're just going to switch back to this player perspective to watch Naga Siren do work on this macroing here. Illusions are back off of cooldown. Farming up the camps. Already 3,000 gold back online. All illusions coming up. We see one sent to the middle lane, one sent to the top lane to attempt to cut the creep wave. And another sent upward to the top lane as well. Medusa trying to do her best to kill illusions. Good luck with that. She's just going to make more. And she does, though we see a rotation coming from IO Tiny. A very timely stampede will not only get our Naga back to base, but a full rotation from first departure. Using an ensnare into Macropyre, into Yule's Ice Path. But they have enough stuns. Four staffs are able to get the Medusa away though, as IO Tiny are relocated back to the top lane and will continue to pressure this tier 3. But they're split up. Centaur going back to base to heal. Naga Siren not only going back to base, but also farming up camps. As we see, 3 seconds left on the illusion, and she's even able to kill the very beefy Hellbore camp.
Money changes hands.
3,700 gold now on deck. Could start looking at her next item. Could be harder to Rask to just beef up the illusions. Yule's Scepter into Ice Path. Medusa will still be able to get away, ultimately popping her Stone Gaze. But Miracle's already ahead of her. And we see a pursuit coming out from first departure. Miracle with the ice armor, just stopping the teleportation with an ensnare. Magnus is low, he will instantly fall, but so will Naga Siren. Lich being forced back. First departure are in a full route now. Ice Path being able to save Tiny from killing Jakiro. However, Lich will fall along with Enigma. It's a 3-for-1. Naga starting to ramp up her damage, but the Medusa's now coming online as well. As we check the last hits, Medusa now fallen to a Naga Siren, 319 last hits. We see an Enigma buyback that it looks like will cause what could have been the first lane of Rax falling to be paused for now. And with that first buyback of the game, we're going to take a break. This is definitely what I would consider to be the end of the mid-game, the start of the late game. We've seen multiple Tier 3 high ground breaches, though a little bit different tactic, with the split pushing from Medusa and her cohorts on the bottom lane. IO Tiny pushing out the top lane. But the game's a lot different from the start of this Part 2 episode. The Radiance is now online for Naga, and she's done a great job, a rather cheeky job, of farming in the enemy jungle, and also just chopping those creep waves coming out of the Radiant base, catching them as soon as they get out from the Tier 3 high ground. And even with the Tier 2 towers still standing, she's able to position her illusions perfectly, use the Radiance, use a Riptide, and just delay those creeps coming from the base, creating a little extra space needed so she can catch up. And so her allies can get BKBs online and hopefully set up for that wonderful Wombo combo. We haven't seen it yet, but we have seen some beautiful black holes. Will that continue into the late game? Will Jakiro get a wonderful Macropyre into black hole? Will Lich get a black hole into Macropyre into Chainfrost? Stay tuned after this relaxing music break to find out.